First of all, thank you all for helping this channel grow. We truly appreciate the support. Making these documentaries isn't easy. We do weeks, sometimes months of research. None of the narrator lines is copied from any website. All the lines were written by us. Thank you. Hope you enjoy.
Young Jeezy was one of the first trap rappers in the game. The genre started back in 2003 during the Crump era. In 2005, trap became one of the biggest music genres, thanks to people such as T.I. and Jeezy. Since the 80s, rappers rapped about dealing drugs. Drug dealers always been a part of hip-hop. Most MCs looked up to drug dealers and tried to be like them. Hip-hop slang, fashion, jewelry, and vehicles were all inspired by drug dealers. There was a time when rapping was considered corny. The drug dealers were the coolest guys in the neighborhood. A lot of drug dealers then helped out a lot of MCs. They paid for studio time, even studio equipment. They paid for music videos, photo shoots. They even let MCs wear their jewelry and use their vehicles. Jeezy is one of the rappers who really sold drugs. In 2005, the Snowman took over the rap game. Listening to Jeezy back then was a different kind of vibe. You heard the realness in his voice and lyrics. A lot of stuff that Jeezy rapped about was only understood by real hustlers. This is his story. J. Wayne Jenkins Jr., also known as Jeezy, was born on September 28, 1977, in Columbia, South Carolina. His parents, J. Jenkins Sr. and Sharon Jenkins, got married in the early 70s. His father was in the military, so the family moved around a lot when Jeezy was a kid. By the late 80s, Jeezy's parents had separated. Him, along with his mother and baby sister, went to stay with his grandmother in small-town Hawkinsville, Georgia. Shortly after, the family moved into a trailer home. Jeezy began getting into trouble and not wanting to attend school. His mother would eventually kick him out, and he was forced to live with his grandmother and aunt. Jeezy began dealing crack cocaine and dropped out of school in the 6th grade. Selling drugs was very easy for Jeezy because a lot of his family members were using. His uncles and aunts brought him a lot of money and a lot of customers. At the time, Jeezy's favorite rapper was Tupac. Jeezy became popular in the neighborhood. By 1993, him and his friends were all well-known drug dealers. They started off nickeling and diming, making only hundreds of dollars. One time he rolled dice with his uncle and lost his last $1,500. According to Jeezy, that was his last time gambling. In 1994, Jeezy was arrested for narcotics possession and spent 9 months in YCA, a boot camp in Fort Stewart, Georgia. By the age 19, Jeezy and his crew were Crips. They allegedly joined a set by the name of Duncan Block Crip. They had their neighborhood on lock. Not only was Jeezy dealing crack from his aunt's house, he was running a few blocks as well. Jeezy was no longer buying cooked cocaine. Him and his crew were now buying cocaine and cooking it themselves. Jeezy became a good cook. He learned how to stretch the product to make more cash. Through the late 90s, Jeezy continued dealing drugs and became bigger in the game. Around this time, Jeezy had met BMF founder Big Meech, who was living in Atlanta at the time. Meech and other BMF members became close friends with Jeezy. They began supplying him with kilos of cocaine. By 2001, Jeezy was a kingpin. His operation spread throughout Georgia. According to Jeezy, he supplied 20 counties with cocaine. He also ran operations in other states, such as Alabama, Tennessee, and South Carolina. Jeezy had started rapping around this time. Back in 1999, he started a record label by the name of Young Guns Entertainment. Jeezy didn't want to be a rapper. After all of his artists went to jail, Jeezy decided to rap. He began going by the name Lil J, and in 2001 he released his first independent album titled Again Under the Influence. The album was unsuccessful. Rap wasn't important to Jeezy at the time. At the age 25, Jeezy was playing with millions of dollars. He only wanted to rap to clean his dirty money. In 2003, T.I. released his second studio album, Trap Music. This was the beginning of a new hip-hop genre. The album inspired Jeezy's style. That same year, Jeezy released Come Shop With Me, a double CD set. One CD was titled Hard and the other titled Soft. He was now known as Young Jeezy. The album had production from several local producers, including Shawty Redd and Lil Jon. This is when Lil Jon and the East Side Boys were a platinum-selling group and crunk music was very huge. Come Shop With Me had appearances by Pastor Troy and Bone Crusher. The album opened the door for Jeezy. He was now a known rapper in Atlanta. He changed his record label name to CTE, meaning Corporate Things Entertainment. By 2004, the Snowman was the biggest underground artist in the city. That summer, he released the mixtape The Streets Is Watching, hosted by DJ Drama. After getting hundreds of thousands copies made, Jeezy drove around selling copies of the albums from out his new Ferrari. Big Meech and BMF helped make Jeezy even bigger star. They paid DJs to play Jeezy music. Jeezy songs were getting played several times a night at every major strip club in Atlanta. That same year, Jeezy joined a group by the name of Boys in the Hood. The Boys in the Hood were signed to Block Entertainment. The group was consisted of Jeezy, Big G, Big Duke, and Jody Breeze. Block Entertainment inked a deal with Bad Boy Records. The first song Jeezy recorded with the group was Them Boys. It took him almost 3 hours to write and record his verse. That verse made Jeezy the star of the group. His lyrics gave everyone real drug dealer vibes. His style was fresh and original. Block Entertainment had huge plans for Boys in the Hood. The group began doing shows getting $200 a piece. That was like only $2 for Jeezy. He didn't care about the money. Jeezy would let the rest of the group members split his share. Jeezy didn't like Puffy in the beginning. He would often try to outshine Puff around others. When it was time for Jeezy to sign his contract, he took his time. One time Puffy called Jeezy because he needed the contract signed that night. Jeezy was on his way to the strip club. He just hangs up on Puffy and go to the strip club. That same year, Jeezy signed a label deal with Def Jam and began recording his major label debut and overall third studio album, Let's Get It, Thug Motivation 101. One night while working on the album, rapper T.I. came to the studio and seen Jeezy counting over $2 million of dirty cash. T.I. then warns Jeezy that he can't do both rap and deal drugs. That stayed on Jeezy's mind for months. Jeezy began having nightmares and waking up in cold sweats. He lost over 30 pounds. Jeezy decided to leave the drug game. He got rid of the rest of his drugs and then threw away his phones. This was a new beginning for Jeezy. In December of 2004, L.A. Reid appointed Jay-Z president of Def Jam. Jeezy and Jigga took a liking to each other because they both came from the dope game. Jay-Z would eventually sit Jeezy and Puffy together to work out the Boys in the Hood contract. 2005 was a huge year for Jeezy. After releasing the Trap or Die mixtape and DVD, Jeezy's album was highly anticipated. Right after Boys in the Hood hit single, Them Boys introduced Jeezy to the world. A new up-and-coming rapper from East Atlanta was introduced to the world as well. Gucci Mane was signed to an independent label by the name of Big Cat Records. Late 2004, Big Cat signed a deal with Tommy Boy Records. Gucci Mane began recording his debut studio album titled Trap House. Gucci Mane paid Jeezy to hop on the tracks So Icy. The song blew up quickly and became a hit. After shooting the video, Jeezy wanted So Icy to be on his album Let's Get It, Thug Motivation 101. Gucci Mane and Big Cat Records refused to let Jeezy have the track. This is when the two rappers begin feuding. Jeezy put a $10,000 bounty on Gucci Mane's chain in the song Stay Strapped. Henry Lee Clark, also known as Pookie Loc, was a friend of Jeezy's and allegedly a member of Duncan Block Crip. Pookie Loc was loved in his neighborhood. Pookie Loc had a reputation to be wild. He was a member of a rap group by the name of Lokish Lifestyle. The group was popular in Meccan. They signed to CTE around 2003. On the night of May 10, 2005, Gucci, along with a friend, went to visit a female in Decatur, Georgia. While hanging out at the female's home, Pookie Loc and 4 other men burst into the apartment and began assaulting Gucci Mane and his friend. The fight resulted in gunfire being exchanged. During that gunfight, Pookie Loc was shot. Pookie Loc, along with the other 4 men, runs out of the apartment. One of the men asked Pookie Loc, was he hit? Pookie Loc runs off into the woods, and the other 4 men hops in an SUV and flee the scene. Days later, Pookie Loc was found dead by a middle school. Gucci Mane turned himself in on May 19th. Gucci admitted that he fired on the group, but maintained that it was self-defense, and the murder charge was later dropped. People blame Jeezy for Pookie Loc's death. They say that he sent Pookie Loc on a crash dummy mission. Jeezy didn't expect anyone to get killed. He continued stressing but had to keep working. On July 26, 2005, Jeezy released the classic album Let's Get It, Thug Motivation 101. The album debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200, sold almost 200,000 copies in the first week. The album's first single, And Then What, produced by Mannie Fresh, peaked number 14 on the U.S. Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs Billboard. Schools in Polk County, Florida banned students from wearing Jeezy Snowman shirts. This is when Jeezy started Can't Ban the Snowman. Let's Get It, Thug Motivation 101 went double platinum. Jeezy was now one of the biggest rappers in the game. In October 2005, Big Meech, along with 30 other BMF members, were arrested. Meech and his younger brother Terry were charged under the Continuing Criminal Enterprise Statute, conspiracy to distribute 5 kilos or more of cocaine, 2 counts of possession with intent to distribute more than 5 kilograms of cocaine, conspiracy to launder monetary instruments, and possession with intent to distribute more than 500 grams of cocaine. Jeezy was lucky he didn't get indicted along with the BMF members. He had no choice but to distance himself from the crew and keep his nose clean. In 2006, Jeezy released his second studio album, Thug Motivation 102, The Inspiration. The album was certified platinum in 1 month. Jeezy took trap music to another level. Jeezy began dating R&B singer Keyshia Cole after the release of Thug Motivation 101. The two were in a serious relationship for a few years. Keyshia Cole even allegedly proposed to Jeezy, but he turned her down because he wasn't ready for marriage at the time. The couple kept their relationship a secret for a few years. By 2008, the two were no longer together. In 2007, Jeezy put together a group by the name of USDA, meaning United Street Dope Boys of America. The group consisted of Young Jeezy, Blood Row, and Jeezy's close friend Slick Pulla. In May of that year, they released the album titled Cold Summer under CTE and Def Jam Records. The album peaked number 4 on the US Billboard 200 and number 1 on the top R&B hip-hop albums. The album's first single, White Girl, was a club banger. In 2008, when Obama was running for president, Jeezy went out and got people to vote. He knocked on doors and held meetings to help Obama win the election. While working on his album, The Recession, he recorded the track My President, featuring Nas. The album was released on September 2nd of that year and sold over 1 million copies. Some call the Recession album a classic. In that same year, Jeezy was featured on Usher's hit single Love in This Club. The single peaked at number 4 on the US Pop 100, number 1 on the US Billboard Hot 100, and number 1 on the US Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs. The single was later certified platinum. That summer, Jeezy was arrested in Atlanta and charged with driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs, speeding, driving with no proof of insurance or license plate, having an open container, and reckless driving. In 2009, Jeezy co-starred in Ice Cube's now classic film Janky Promoters. In the movie, Jeezy was fun to watch. Although he played himself, it was clear that he had potential to play and even star in more movies. Jeezy didn't release any albums in 2009 or 10, but dropped several mixtapes including Trapping Ain't Dead and Trap or Die Part 2. Jeezy's next album, TM-103 Hustler's Ambition, went platinum as well. The album's first single, Lose My Mind, featuring Plies, was a hit. It peaked at number 3 on US Hot Rap Songs and was later certified platinum also. In 2011, Jeezy underwent throat surgery and after doctors found polyps on his vocal cords. For 8 whole months, Jeezy couldn't talk. He didn't release another album till 2014. Seen It All, the autobiography, was released on September 2nd. The album debuted at number 2 on the US Billboard 200 and sold 121,000 copies in its first week. Jeezy's next 5 albums didn't have much success. He began focusing on business moves, including real estate. In November of 2020, Jeezy went up against former enemy Gucci Mane in a versus battle. Gucci Mane was very disrespectful during the battle. Not only did he perform his Jeezy diss songs, he teased Jeezy about his deceased friend Pookie Loke. Jeezy didn't lose his cool. He kept his cool and finished the classic battle off on a positive note. The two rappers performed So Icy together for the first time in history. In 2021, Jeezy married television host and stylist Jeannie Mai. The couple began dating in 2018. In 2022, the two had a daughter together. In February of 2021, Jeezy's mother died due to health issues. Jeezy was heartbroken. That same year, Jeezy announced his partnership with French liquor brand No Spirits and released his own cognac by the name of No XO. Today, Jeezy's net worth is estimated to be over $22 million. He's now living a clean, healthy, positive life. The Snowman is one of the top trap rappers. Some call him the king of trap. Jeezy gave us over 2 decades of fun trap music, selling almost 6 million records worldwide. Well, this was the Snowman Story. Thank you all for watching. See you next time.